The House will come to order. This morning, the pledge will be led by Isabella Robles, Arupe Jesuit High School, Denver, Colorado.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Stoka, please call the roll.
Representatives Arndt, Baisley, Benavides, Byrd, Bockenfeld, Buck, Buckner, Buenteo, Caraveo, Carver, Catlin, Champion, Coleman, Cutter, Duran, Escar,
Excused.
Exum, Froelich, Garnett, Geithner, Gonzalez Gutierrez, Gray, Herod, Poltorf, Hooten, Humphrey, Jackson,
Excused.
Hawkes Lewis, Kennedy, Kip, Kraft Tharp, Landgraf, Larson, Liston, Lontine, McCluskey, McKean, McLaughlin. Melton. Michelson Janae. Representative Escars here. Mollica. Neville. Pelton. Ransom. Rich. Roberts. Sane. Sandridge. Singer. Sirota. Snyder. Soper. Sullivan. Tipper. Tatone. Valdez A. I see. Valdez D. Van Winkle. Wiseman. Will. Williams D. Wilson. Woodrow. Young. Speaker.
I am here.
Madam Speaker.
Is that everyone?
Escars present.
Bonjour.
Okay. With 64 present, 0 absent, and 1 excused, we have a quorum. Representative Sopel.
Bonjour. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the Journal of Wednesday, February 26, 2020 be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk, and I want a resounding vote today.
Oh my gosh, that is just inviting a problem. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. So close, so close, so close. The motion passes. Representative Mollica.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have a tribute that I would like read at length, please.
Members, we have a tribute. Could you all please be quiet in the chamber?
State of Colorado, the House of Representatives convened in the 72nd General Assembly hereby extends sincere accommodations to Rare Disease Day. In the United States, a disease is considered rare if it affects fewer than 200,000 Americans. There are more than 7,000 rare diseases that affect 1 in 10 Americans, and 2/3 of those affected are children. More than 95% of rare diseases do not have an improved FDA treatment. Patients of rare disease can experience difficulty obtaining an accurate diagnosis, limited treatment options, little to no research on the disease, significant added medical costs, feelings of isolation and difficulty finding physicians or treatment centers with experience with their disease. Rare disease are an important public health concern, and Rare Disease Day is celebrated globally to provide more education and awareness to all issues faced in the rare disease community daily. On request of Representative Kyle Mollica, given this 27th day of February 2020, State Capitol, Denver.
Representative Mollica.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, please be seated. The purpose of Rare Disease Day is to harness the creativity and energy of millions of people around the world with rare diseases, roughly 575,000 Coloradans, and millions who care about and assist them to raise awareness and generate action. On your desk, you have a zebra striped ribbon. The zebra is the official symbol of rare diseases in the United States and is noted for its black and white stripes, which are central to its uniqueness. Everyone has his or her own stripes, those characteristics that make each individual distinct. While each of the more than 7,000 rare diseases are unique, there are many commonalities that unite the rare disease community. Together across all rare diseases, we are asking to work towards more equitable access to diagnosis, treatment, care, and social opportunity. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Capitol for Rare Disease Day in Colorado, invite you to go hear their stories, learn about their difficulties, and show support for all those affected by rare disease in the state. If you want to go down and visit the South Foyer area on the first floor, there's some tables set up to learn about it. We do have members here visitors here on the floor on the left side representing Rare Disease Day. If you want to stand up and we can welcome you. And we also have members in the gallery. If we can give them a round of applause. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Mulliken. Thank you for joining us today. Other announcements? Representative Weissman.
Thank you and good morning, Madam Speaker. Two quick announcements. The first is just to remind folks of the judiciary calendar today because we did make some changes. The printed calendar is what we will follow. House Bill 1234 for action only, House Bill 1096, House Bill 1123, and Senate Bill 64. The second announcement is just to let folks know that some of the other folks visiting with us today are members of the Colorado Sierra Club. Folks may know the Sierra Club is the oldest nationwide conservation-oriented organization in the country, dating to its founding in 1892. The membership day today runs from now until about 1:30, and there's going to be a lunch over at the church across the street starting at 12, so members may want to look out for constituents who will be visiting to talk about conservation issues. Thanks.
Representative Landgraf and Assistant Minority Leader Van Winkle.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We are up here today to give recognition to the Colorado Beverage Association, who is here today. And when you go downstairs to the first floor, after you go and meet the rare disease contingent, you can go and check out the beverage showcase. They will be here from 11 to 1. It's always a good event. You get to see, the beverages that they carry and support, and you usually get to bring a couple things back to your office.
Assistant Minority Leader Van Winkle.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and welcome to them today. They keep many of us at 3 and 4 a.m. on our toes, working hard for the people of Colorado. So big thanks to the Beverage Association, and can't wait to get down there today.
Thank you for joining us today. Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez, just a second. On this? No. Okay. Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I just wanted to announce that the person who just did the prayer today, Reverend Brad Larvik, is also my school board member for Denver Public Schools, District 5. So I just want to recognize he's still here in the chamber with us. So Reverend Brad Larvik.
Thanks for joining us once again. Representatives Pelton and Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I just want to recognize a special occasion that happened last night at the Farm Credit FFA Colorado Ag Hall of Fame. I had an uncle inducted into that last night by the name of Charles Hanovan.
Representative Holtorf.
Madam Speaker, I also attended the Farm Credit Colorado FFA Foundation Hall of Fame for agricultural inductees, and two individuals from one from northeastern Colorado, Mr. Chris Dinsdale, a prominent cattle rancher, cattle feeder, and also a member of the Bank of Colorado. I believe he's the chairman of the Bank of Colorado, a very strong agricultural banking institution. And also Don Shawcroft, president of the Colorado Farm Bureau from the San Luis Valley, was inducted. These outstanding individuals have committed their lives to living in rural Colorado, supporting their communities, promoting agriculture across the spectrum of generations, and never wavering on their commitment to feeding Colorado and feeding the world.
Representative Pelton.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and go agriculture.
Representative Valdez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and also just want to, Don Shawcroft is a neighbor of mine from the San Luis Valley who received the award last night at the Agriculture Hall of Fame, an individual who continues to advocate for rural Colorado in all aspects, because agriculture, if you If you grow it, eat it, and wear it, it's agriculture. So thank you.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Checked with the minority leader and would request to be excused tomorrow, Friday, February 28th.
You will be excused. Wow. Representative Michelson-Janae.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As members, tomorrow morning you might be hungry for breakfast, and that's a really good thing because the Adams 14 Commerce City Kids Culinary Arts Program, they are going to be here, and they have been training for this moment their whole lives to feed you. Stop by the old Supreme Court, just grab and go breakfast starting at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Commerce City for the win.
Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Education Committee, you will be happy to know that whatever is on the calendar is what we're doing today. In that order, no changes. Yay.
Any other announcements or introductions? Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I just want to give you a quick update on timing for the rest of the week. Everyone's been working really hard. I appreciate that. Committees have been going late. I appreciate how hard everyone's working. Today we're going to try to do all the third readings. We have one Senate amendment that we'll do, and then we're going to go into second reading and try to get through some of that with enough time for upon adjournment committees to get through their work. Tomorrow we will have a longer day. If we can get through our work, then we will all go home and break till next week.
Sounds good. Any other announcements or introductions? Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee is meeting this afternoon at 1:30 in LSBA to hear Senate Bill 39, Senate Bill 79, and House Bill 1294.
Any other announcements or introductions? Then that brings us to third reading of bills, final passage. Mr. Stoka, please read House Bill 1103.
House Bill 1103 by Representative Buckner and will also Senator Field and Priola concerning health insurance coverage for colorectal cancer screening.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1103 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1103 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. Bachenfeld and Landgraf. Bachenfeld. Representative Bachenfeld will be excused. Please close the machine. With 52 aye votes, 11 no votes, and 2 excused, House Bill 1103 is passed. Co-sponsors. Representative Bachenfeld, that's a $3 fine. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1024.
House Bill 1024 by Representative Benavides and Senator also Senator Marino concerning modifications to the state net operating loss deduction.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1024 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1024 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. Please close the machine. With 41 aye votes, 23 no votes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1024 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1066.
House Bill 1066 by Representative Schroeder, also Senators Gonzalez, concerning the establishment of contribution limits under the Fair Campaign Practice Act for candidates for school district director and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1066 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1066 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members, please vote. Please close the machine. With 40 aye votes, 24 no votes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1066 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1165.
House Bill 1165 by Representative Kraft, Harper, and McKean, also Senators Zenzinger and Quorum, concerning modifications to the interior design exemptions set forth in the laws governing the practice of architecture.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1165 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1165 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members, please vote. Please close the machine. With 64 aye votes, no votes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1165 is passed. Co-sponsors.
Honestly, I'm not the best.
Please close the machine. Let's see. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1275.
House Bill 1275 by Representative Ventuello and Senator Heisey, concerning providing in-state tuition and status at a community college for military families regardless of whether Colorado domicile status is satisfied.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1275 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1275 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members, please vote. Please close the machine. With 61 aye votes, 3 no votes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1275 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of Senate Bill 43.
Senate Bill 43 by Senator Tate, Representative Valdez D, concerning a correction to the state of reimbursement that an out-of-network healthcare provider is entitled to receive from a healthcare insurance carrier for services provided to be a covered person at an in-network facility when the healthcare provider submits a claim to the carrier within specified time period to conform with existing law.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 43 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 43 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open the machine and members, please vote. Please close the machine. With 63 aye votes, 1 no vote, and 1 excused, Senate Bill 43 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read Senate Bill 113.
Senate Bill 113 by Senator Tate, Representative Valdez D, concerning the mandatory contents of each license issued to the healthcare facility by the Department of Health, Public Health, and Environment.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 113 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 113 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open the machine and members please vote. Good. Please close the machine. With 64 aye votes, no votes, and 1 excuse, Senate Bill 113 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1145.
House Bill 1145 by Representative McKean and Senator Holbert and Garcia concerning the safety consequences of a driver passing an official vehicle that displays a warning light.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1145 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1145 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. Please close the machine. With 64 aye votes, no votes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1145 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1022.
House Bill 1022 by Representatives Kraft, Harper, and Van Winkle. Also, Senator Williams A. and Tate concerning the sales and use task simplification task force and in connection therewith extending the task force, modifying the task force duties, removing the requirement that the task force undergo an evaluation by the Department of Regulatory Agencies prior to the task force repeal and making an appropriation.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1022 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1022 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. Please close the machine. With 64 aye votes, no votes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1022 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1032.
House Bill 1032 by Representative Kippen and Wilson. Also, Senators General and Quorum concerning the timing of education standards review.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1032 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1032 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. Landgraf. please close the machine. With 64 aye votes, no votes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1032 is passed. Co-sponsors. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1215.
House Bill 1215 by Representative Valdez and Froelich, also Senators Foot, concerning the continuation of the Water and Waste Facility Operations Certification Board and in connection therewith implementing the recommendation contained in the 2019 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies and making an appropriation.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1215 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1215 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. Kipp and Sandridge, please close the machine. With 63 aye votes, 1 no vote, and 1 excused, House Bill 1215 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1229.
House Bill 1229 by Representative Bontail and also Senators Cook, concerning authorization of the Peace Officer Standards and Training Board to establish a scholarship program for law enforcement agencies with limited resources to assist the agency with the payment of tuition costs for peace officers candidates to attend and improve basic law enforcement training at Academy.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1229 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1229 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. Duran, please close the machine. With 62 aye votes, 2 no votes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1229 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1270.
House Bill 1270 by Representative Michelson Janae, also Senators Fields, concerning the consent of one parent for a licensed professional person to treat a minor for a behavioral health disorder.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1270 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1270 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open the machine and members please vote. Please close the machine. With 41 aye votes, 23 no votes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1270 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1147.
House Bill 1147 by Representative Buckner and Ransom, also Senator Smallwood and Marino, concerning allowing children reasonable independence to engage in activities without finding that child is abused or neglected.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1147 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1147 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open the machine and members please vote. Please close the machine. With 64 aye votes, no votes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1147 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of Senate Bill 48.
Senate Bill 48 by Senators Donovan and Quorum, also Representatives Roberts and Catlin, concerning a study to consider the strengthening of the prohibition on speculative appropriations of water.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 48 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 48 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open the machine and members please vote. Herod, please close the machine. With 64 aye votes, no votes, and 1 excuse, Senate Bill 48 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of Senate Bill 47.
Senate Bill 47 by Senators William A. and Tate, also Representative Kraft-Tharp and Van Winkle, concerning exemption from the definition of a real estate appraisal of analysis prepared by agents or of a financial institution for the institution's internal use only.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 47 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 47 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. Please close the machine. With 64 aye votes, no votes, and 1 excuse, Senate Bill 47 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1060.
House Bill 1060 by Representative Tetonin and Soper, also Senator Rodriguez and Marble, concerning the conversion of human remains to basic elements within a container using an accelerated process and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1060 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1060 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. That is, I'm not going to say it. Sane Valdez Van Winkle. Can you vote? You can't vote. Oh, thank you. Representative Sane, please close the machine. With 49 aye votes, 15 no votes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1060 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1136.
House Bill 1136 by Representative Snyder, also Senator Hansen, concerning the regulation of investments made by domestic insurance companies.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1136 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1136 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members please vote. Exum and McKean. Please close the machine. With 45 aye votes, 19 no votes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1136 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the House proceed out of order for consideration of Senate amendments to House bills.
Seeing no objection, the House will proceed out of order for consideration of Senate amendments to House bills. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1019.
House Bill 1019 by Representative Harrod, also Senator Gonzalez, concerning measures to manage the state prison population and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Representative Harrod.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House concur with Senate amendments.
Representative Harrod, please give an explanation.
Well, the Senate did some work for the few times they do, and made some amendments that were pretty good. They narrowed the scope of the study, and also made some amendments to the parole plan, and I ask for an aye vote on concurrence.
The question before the House is to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1019. Is there any? Oh, Representative Carver.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, the amendments that the Senate made were good. It much improved the bill on the issue of private prisons, and also struck some of the other public policy issues that were problematic. However, the one area that they left in, and I understand this goes more towards how you vote on the final bill. The one area they left in is the provision on page 8 that provides for additional earned time for exemplary leadership through mentoring, community service, and distinguished actions benefiting health, safety, environment, and culture. Members, the current statutory language for earned time in the statute, and earned time is where you can reduce the amount of time that you're serving in prison. So if you got in a judge sentence of 10 years through earned time, you can reduce that significantly. And again, in Colorado, folks are serving anywhere from a third to a half of their sentence in many cases. So currently under statutory language, earned time is based upon, are you participating in getting further education? Are you getting treatment or counseling? You know, standards that are fairly objective. Respectfully, the language in 1019 on this additional basis for earned time is totally subjective and undefined. I don't know what leadership, exemplary leadership is that benefits health, safety, environment, and culture. Now, I guess the short answer is, if you go further down the page, on page 8, It's as defined by Department of Corrections. But that doesn't help me much because it's still totally subjective. So while I support the Senate amendments, and Madam Speaker, a little bit out of order here, but to dash up and down, I'm supportive of the Senate amendments, but I am still no on the bill because of this additional language that has remained in the bill, which I find ill-advised.
Is there any further discussion? The question before the House is to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1019. Mr. Stoka, please open the machine, and members, please vote. Please close the machine. With 64 aye votes, no votes, and 1 excused, Senate amendments, the motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1019 passes. That brings us back to the bill on repassage. Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1019 as amended.
The question before the House is the repassage of House Bill 1019 as amended. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Stoka, please open the machine, and members, please vote. Please close the machine. With 41 aye votes, 23 no votes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1019 is repassed as amended. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the House proceed out of order for general orders, second reading of bills.
Seeing no objection, the House will proceed out of order for second reading of bills, general orders. Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez. Seeing no objection, Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez will take the chair.
The committee will now come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee reports are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader, and the court rule is relaxed. Okay. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 17 until Monday, March 2nd.
Seeing no objection, Senate Bill 17 will be laid over. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1127.
House Bill 1127 by Representative McCluskey and McLaughlin, also Senator Todd and Sonnenberg, concerning an extension of employment after retirement limitation for retirees of the Public Employment Retirement Association employed by Board of Cooperative Services after retirement.
There it is.
Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you.
Great day to be here. I move House Bill 1127 on second reading.
That is proper. You want to continue?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is a rural education bill brought forward by rural educators. Our BOCES, our Board of Cooperating Services, provide very special support for our rural schools across the state. They're the folks that bring services into communities and school districts that could not afford them on their own. This particular bill would allow retired special service providers to come back into our workforce in rural communities and provide services that currently we are sorely lacking. We are desperately in need of many of these positions. As I know most of you know, we are truly facing an educator shortage in this state, in particularly rural areas. And our BOCES are tremendous partners in helping us provide special services by allowing a very limited number of para-retired special service providers to come back into the workforce. We're able to serve the children in most need in those communities. I urge an aye vote.
Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a pleasure to serve with you.
And with you.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know, BOCES does a lot for school districts. They work with several districts at the same time. They have speech-language pathologists, school psychologists, social workers, occupational therapists, all the special services that an individual district may not be able to afford but definitely needs. This bill will limit it to 40 employees totally over a 5-year period. And I also encourage an aye vote.
Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I just want to highlight how grateful we are to para, who worked with us on this bill to find the right number that both felt doable from their perspective in a way that would minimize impact on the program. We also want to thank our BOCES partners from around the state who really voiced the idea, and so grateful to them for their support.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you, bill sponsors. I come before this House in a spirit of bipartisanship and support for this bill. Now I have a larger message that I need to send to this esteemed body, so I would ask for your attention. In rural Colorado, and I tell people there's no frontier out there, days of the cowboys and Indians are over. We actually have roads, running water, telephone service. We don't have to use the outhouses anymore. But in rural Colorado, we have a unique problem, and this is what I want to highlight. And this particular bill addresses one segment of our problem in rural Colorado, and that is, as we continue to diminish economic opportunity, as we continue to overlook those very critical needs for economic infrastructure development and infusion in rural Colorado. And as the working population gets older, we have a real need to support every aspect of our lives. And this is just one example where we can't hire enough younger people to get involved with special education and these special needs programs because of many economic factors. So now this bill is going to allow for those people that have served to come back and continue to serve. So I strongly support this initiative, but I want you all to consider in every endeavor to not hinder and do harm to rural Colorado when it comes to economic opportunities and economic activity. That is the message I send to everybody today in every endeavor. Everything we do, every decision, think about the third, fourth, and fifth order effects. Because what's going to happen when these retirees, after they serve another 10 or 20 years, who's going to come behind them? Thank you.
Members, if I could just remind you all, if you're needing to have conversations, to take it off to the sides, please. Representative Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members. So I was the only no vote in committee, and both of the committees have reference for this bill, and I just wanted to come up and explain. And as I've told the sponsors, they have crafted a very narrow, very well-tailored bill here. My underlying issue and why I will still be a no on the floor, and I just wanted to make you all aware of this, is that this bill will allow for retired members of PARA who are collecting their pension to then receive another full salary while they are collecting PARA. So it is a double dip. It is a very narrowly tailored double dip, and they have put in measures to keep PARA whole with a supplementary payment, which is, again, very well designed. It's very narrowly tailored, and it does address a specific need, but at the end of the day, it is allowing somebody who is retired and collecting their pension to draw a second state salary, which is something I just feel that my constituents will not stand for. So I will be a no. That being said, I cannot emphasize enough how good a job the sponsors did. It's just for that issue, I can't support the bill, and I just wanted to explain that to everybody since I was the only no vote.
Representative Will.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
Honored to serve with you, sir.
I want to come up and be in support of this bill. It is a very narrow scope. As you all know, I was a PERA employee for over 40 years. And when I came to this chamber, I couldn't start until March 1st because I had to get retired. And there's all kinds of, let me say, well, there's all kinds of rules with PERA. Some are good, some aren't. In this particular instance, I see it with the school teachers, but I think it should go be expanded beyond just school teachers. There's a lot of subject matter experts that retire from the state, and sometimes their abilities and skill sets are much needed, and I think there should be an ability for those retired employees to take up those positions. But I do support this bill. I think it is very narrow in scope. I wish it was expanded to more PRA retired employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Oh, Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do respect the concerns of my esteemed colleague. But there are certain situations and conditions in rural Colorado where when you have a very professional individual who has worked with special needs for decades and has now entered the retiree roles and finds the need to come back, because we all know that in some industries, retirement is a thing of the past. You work and support your family, and then you find out you have to support your grandkids or you have to support your kids again for whatever reason. But in this particular case, the cost is warranted because of the situation we have where we cannot find enough people to do the work that needs to be done to work with these special needs. So I want you all to continue to consider that, continue to support the needs of rural Colorado, and vote yes on this bill.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1127. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1127 passes. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1137.
House Bill 1137 by Representative McCloskey and Soper, also Senator Donovan, concerning a requirement that the Broadband Deployment Board give substantial weight to a local entity's written certification that an area within the entity's jurisdiction's underserved area when considering an application for grant money for the provision of broadband services to that unserved area.
Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1137 and the committee report from Business Affairs and Labor.
Appropriations report as well.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee report on appropriations first.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L006 to the Business Affairs and Labor Committee report.
Thank you.
And ask that it be properly displayed.
Thank you. The amendment is properly before us. Please proceed.
Yeah. Sorry. We have to pass approps first.
Okay. Representative Soper, we are on the appropriations report, so we need to go through that first. Is there any further discussion on the appropriations report? Seeing none, the question before us is the question of the appropriations report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Appropriations report is passed. To the committee report. Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I once again, I guess, move Amendment L006 to the Business Affairs and Labor Committee report and ask that it be displayed.
Thank you. The amendment is properly before us. Please proceed.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. So in Business Affairs and Labor Committee, Representative Snyder raised an issue about our definition of cities and counties to be more specific so that it couldn't be taken advantage of and that we were entirely clear so that what we meant was actually what we meant. So we briefly turned it into Judiciary Committee, and this amendment honors that. So we'd ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion regarding Amendment L006 to the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L006 to the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. That amendment passes. To the bill, Representative McCluskey. Oh, I am so sorry. To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to speak to the committee report briefly. We did a couple of changes during the committee that helped clarify some of our language around the specific entities. We narrowed the focus so that our unserved communities, it was very clear which organizations in our unserved communities would be able to come forward with information regarding those requests for the grant funding through our Broadband Deployment Board. And we also clarified the process by which communities could participate. I believe that we are talking about rural broadband service. And are we good? And I urge an aye vote on the committee report.
Is there any Representative Soper?
Thank you, and I too would like to talk to the committee report. This is an issue that came up in our neck of the woods, especially coming out of Delta County. The fact that broadband and access to internet really is the future of Colorado, and especially rural Colorado. And so I just would ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further questions regarding the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the committee report as amended. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, no. Committee report passes. To the bill, Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And that was a long, winding way to talk about broadband service in our rural communities. Over the past decade, there has been a tremendous effort to try and drive more funding to our small rural areas where we simply lack service for broadband. And we are so appreciative of the efforts that have been made, particularly with Senate Bill 2 just a couple of years ago. But as that bill has been implemented and we have started to see grants shared with our communities across the state, we have recognized that there was one voice, one part of our community that wasn't at the table to really confirm or deny whether a community was served. And so we're pleased to bring forward a bill that provides local voice, an opportunity for our communities to weigh in early in a broadband grant application process just to confirm what sort of service they're experiencing in their community. I think the process is very robust. I'm grateful to the many stakeholders that came to the table and helped us craft something that really provides a fair opportunity for that local voice. With that, I urge an aye vote on House Bill 1137.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too rise in support and ask for an aye vote on 1137.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you, sir.
Thank you. Members, I'd like to rise in support of this bill, too. One of the things that's happening out in my part of the state is we've got folks that are still on dial-up. We've got folks that are not even hooked up. And who better to tell the state that we're underserved than the communities that are being underserved? This is an opportunity for the state of Colorado for us all to get wired in, I guess is what you might want to call it. But it is a good opportunity for the state. I think if you came out to see me, you might find places that you couldn't get connected and when you really wanted to or really needed to. This is an opportunity for the communities to stand up and help themselves and be heard here in the state of Colorado. Please vote yes.
Is there Representative Soper?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I just wanted to tell one story to this body. So over the interim, in October, I was married, and we got married, yeah, thank you, in Crawford, Colorado. And I can tell you that Crawford does not have broadband internet. But yet, our current maps that the broadband board goes off of says that Crawford has been served. And that's just not true. As a matter of fact, they don't even have cell phone coverage. Now, the chairwoman of the committee did ask what I was planning on doing on my wedding by being online or on my cell phone. But of course, you know, being a millennial, if you don't tweet it, it didn't happen. So the other thing that this bill does is it adds substantial weight for local governments, and it was a question that came up was how do we get more of that local voice involved? And the ability to have our towns and our counties be able to submit comments and to have those comments be treated at a higher level, given substantial weight with the broadband board, means a lot. Because in a lot of rural Colorado, because of our antiquated maps for broadband, a lot of areas are marked as covered when in fact there is no internet there. And this actually starts to chip away at that. I also just want to thank the group of stakeholders that we had. They came together, the telecom groups came together in good faith. And I definitely hope one day we'll have something that comes from the industry that reflects new mapping that allows us to actually pinpoint exactly where we need to move state dollars to so that we can be more respectful of the taxpayer dollars to get internet to places that doesn't have it. And this bill takes us one more step in that direction. So I'd ask for a yes vote.
Representative Pelton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I've got a question for the bill sponsors. My bad, I haven't studied the bill hard. Does it exclude CenturyLink?
Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the question, Representative Pelton. Our bill really focuses on the process up front before the grant application is made. And there is a commitment in the bill to make sure that the local provider is invited and provided notice of the community hearing and community process to weigh in. So it isn't specific to any provider. It's really more about the process and allowing local voice to weigh in on the grant application process.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would also like to add to the answer and say that it also has a notice requirement that any provider that's within the area that the board is actually considering making a grant to would be notified so that that particular provider could have the opportunity to also submit their paperwork for funds.
Representative Pelton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And part of the reason these maps need updated is because of CenturyLink, because they show it's covered, but they do not do last mile. And so I'd just like somehow to have some guardrails around that. Another thing, rural is different where I'm from than where you're from. I have in my district 2 individual businesses. Private entrepreneurs have not ever had a grant, asked for any government money or anything. And I would like to see us moving more towards that kind of a model than having the government giving grants and things, because already with that happening, these guys are already at a disadvantage because, they've done it all on their own. So I guess just more a comment than anything, but thank you.
Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Representative Pelton, I feel your pain. Our geography and our communities may not look exactly the same, but I think that while our bill is fairly narrow in focus and taking one more step forward on the grant application process, there is certainly more work to be done with all members of our communities, particularly our businesses, to make sure that they have the service they need to be able to thrive and really drive that local economy. So I hear your voice and would love to work more with you on how we can continue to make sure our unserved communities are getting broadband access.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, bill sponsors. As we know, the maps are grossly inaccurate. If you come to my backyard, and this summer I'm going to invite as many people that want to come to Buffalo Springs Ranch to eat a steak or a juicy cheeseburger as would like to drive the 2.5-hour drive to God's country. But I will tell you, there is no cell service in certain areas of our ranch. If you have a heart attack and are stranded out checking cattle in the heat of July, you're probably going to die out there because nobody's going to come out there and find you, and you won't be able to make a 911 call to get any emergency services. And that's just the reality of rural Colorado. Now, I don't know how they do the maps, but they're not accurate. But here's what I'd like to talk about. In our effort to do public-private partnerships, which I think are great, I would like to ask these bill sponsors to work with us in the interim, because I would like to consider doing tax credits for private businesses and grants for private or other cooperative type businesses that provide this broadband and internet service, so we can truly someday in Colorado, one of the greatest states in the union, have internet and, more importantly, mobile phone service border to border, west to east, north to south. When I drive in on the I-76 corridor, there are 3 dead zones as I'm trying to talk and do business, talking to constituents, where along a major corridor your calls drop. And I ask myself, how is that possible? I'm on a major corridor and we drop calls. What if in this 3 to 5 or 10 mile space, someone were to have a major accident and you couldn't call emergency services until you drove out, till you found that next level of coverage? But if you look at all the maps, I will tell you that's all colored. We've got coverage, but it's not true. We don't. So I would like to offer that back to the bill sponsors. I will be in support of any broadband or any telecommunication initiative. But I would offer that to the bill sponsors, and I will be supporting this today.
Representative Soper.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Holtorf. And you certainly have the 2 bill sponsors' commitment to working on telecom issues as far as broadband and cellular coverage, because we're all rural legislators, well, at least in the well right now. And it's near and dear to our heart to be able to get cell phone coverage to all parts of Colorado, and broadband and internet access to all parts of Colorado, because we're hurting in rural Colorado, and our economies, to be more robust in the future, or even to survive in the future, internet really is the linking factor, and that's what's going to help some of our communities. And so you have our commitment. One thing I wanted to talk about in the bill as well that we didn't mention is what we included for the effort of OIT, the Office of Information Technology. And what we asked of them is that they actually go into the field and do speed tests to ensure that the communities really are at broadband or below broadband, rather than having the industry themselves do that or people try to do a speed test from their own homes. We actually found a third way to actually have the state involved to be able to go out into the field, use our technology to be able to say, okay, what is the actual speed? What we found in our stakeholding process is that there's a lot of variables to testing internet speed. I actually had no idea that the hookup at your modem could be a variable, how old your laptop is could be a variable, how old your iPad is could be a variable, how many electronic devices you have could also be a variable. And so by having OIT involved, it adds that neutral party to actually go out and tell us how fast the internet really is for making these determinations of if it's served or unserved. So again, I ask for a yes vote. Thank you.
Representative Will.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you. And I come up here just in support of this because it's much needed. And Rep. Soper mentioned it, but in some of these rural communities, the economic development hangs on this. Whether you have the broadband, the speed, people living remotely, they can come there and maybe do their business and live in some of the great areas that we have in rural Colorado. So I support this a bunch. In my house, I don't have cell service, and I have a satellite internet.
Representative Will, 1 second. Members, again, if you are having conversations, please take them to the side.
Thank you, Madam Chair. But in my house, I don't even have cell service, and I do have a satellite for my internet, and if you, a 1 megabyte picture takes you about 10 minutes to load, so it's, this is much, much needed, and so I fully support this. Whatever we can do to help rural Colorado with broadband access is perfect. Thank you.
Representative Valdez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in support of House Bill 1137, and this is a good bill for places that I call home. Home where we need to continue working on economic development for every business and entity and to grow areas that have not had cell service or broadband. This continues with the written certification of their application of their local entity in areas that parts where we cannot get connection, to connect rural Colorado with other areas of the world. And with that, you have my support, and thanks for bringing this bill.
Feeling the love for rural Colorado. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1137. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1137 passes. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1039.
House Bill 1039 by Representative Coleman and Baisley, also Senators Zunzinger and Tate, concerning a transparent state web portal that allows the public to easily search for information relating to state agency rules at no cost.
Representative James Rashad Coleman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
And with you, sir.
I move House Bill 1039 in the Business Affairs and Labor Committee report.
To the committee report, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This amendment changed the intention of the bill. This amendment strikes the entirety of the printed bill Section 2 and substitutes a new Section 2 that creates the Online Transparency Task Force. This task force will be responsible for recommending ways to enhance online access to rules in the rulemaking process and increase the transparency of the rulemaking process. The task force will submit a report that summarizes its recommendations to the committees with jurisdiction over business and state affairs. With this amendment, there is no fiscal note, and we also, with that said, have an amendment to the committee report. And I ask that, I move L003 and ask it to be properly displayed.
Okay, Amendment L003 has been moved. The amendment is properly before us. Please proceed. Representative Coleman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. L003 refines the bill language from the Business Affairs and Labor Committee report. This amendment clarifies the heads of departments that will be listed and renumbers the paragraphing to accommodate the additions. The amendment adds an opportunity for public comments to be solicited and explains which resources are to be available. Finally, the amendment disperses the Online Transparency Task Force after the submission of the report, and we ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L003? Representative Baisley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, yeah, I'll recommend an aye vote for this as well. This bill And obviously, this amendment to it has required coordination with 3 state agencies, Department of Regulatory Agency, also the Secretary of State, and the SIPA, the State Internet Portal Authority. We've all been working together, and so this is a modification to smooth things out a bit. So I ask for an aye vote on this good amendment.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L003. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Amendment L003 passes. To the committee reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We ask for an aye vote on the committee report.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the committee report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The committee report passes. To the bill, Representative Coleman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 1039 will improve the quality and legitimacy of administrative rulemaking. State departments currently communicate their rulemaking processes locally, which creates a challenge for individuals without a political background and companies without dedicated political operatives to engage with the creation of rules that impact their lives and businesses. As amended, this bill will create a task force that will discover the best way to stimulate better public comments and more public engagement in the administrative rulemaking process, and we ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Bakesley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So what this will do, this bill will create the design and engineering for a portal for everyone who wants to do business within Colorado, whether you're putting together a hair clinic, or if you're opening up an Uber or a sandwich shop, whatever that is, a place to start and to find where all the regulations, where all the licensing and reporting and so on, and all the rulemaking. It'll all be there and comfortable, and same across the internet. Prime sponsorship on this includes Senator Zenzinger, who is on the board of SIPA, the State Internet Portal Authority, and myself on the House side, also on the board. This is being worked real well. Things are going to be good for business and good for Colorado. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1039. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1039 passes. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1280.
House Bill 1280 by Representatives Kipp and Larson, also Senators Bridges and Smallwood, concerning authorization of the Department of Higher Education to collect the data necessary to calculate return on investment metrics related to student outcomes.
Representative Kipp.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today we bring you 1280, House Bill 1280, which is a bill that will increase transparency for our students. What it does is it increases the amount of information that the Colorado Department of Higher Education is able to collect to include more pathways, for instance, private occupational schools, into their return on investment report. Because we all know that before you make a large investment in post-secondary education, we would really like you to have the opportunity to have as much information as available about the investment that you're about to make.
Representative Kipp, would you like to move the bill?
Oh, I'm sorry. I move HB 1280.
Thank you. Representative Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to my co-sponsor. So, yes, members, this bill is fairly simple. We started producing a return on investment report as a state for our public institutions because, as many of you know, that student debt is quickly becoming the second largest investment that most people will make over their lifetime, other than, of course, in their own home. And we feel like it's important that if you're going to spend that much money and incur that much debt in the pursuit of an educational degree, it's only fair that you know what the reasonable return on investment is, what the average debt is afterward, and have a clear picture of kind of what you're getting yourself into. But what we found is that some of the private institutions, vocational schools, we simply weren't able to include them in the report because the department is not currently authorized to take that information. So basically this bill, in a permissive way, allows the state to collect that information now. It is voluntary, so if a private institution did not want to produce the information, they would not be required to. But it allows the department to collect this information and then include those private and vocational schools on their return on investment reports just giving students a better idea of what they're getting into when they decide to make that investment in their education. And with that, I ask for an aye vote.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1280. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1280 passes. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1241.
House Bill 1241 by Representative Benavides and Kipp, also Senators Rodriguez and Todd, concerning the issuance of a professional license to a person who is legally authorized to work in the United States.
Representative Kipp, don't run away. Representative Benavides.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the House Committee report on House Bill 1241.
And the bill?
And the bill.
Thank you, Representative Benavides. To the committee report.
We added some clarifying language in the committee report and urge a support.
Okay. Okay, is there any further discussion regarding the judiciary report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the House Judiciary Report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Judiciary Report passes. To the bill.
This is a good bill.
Members, sorry, I started using my mom voice. Apologize. Members, please, it's starting to roar back up. Can we allow our colleagues to talk about their bill?
Do you want to go first?
Representative Benavides.
Yeah, members, this is a good bill. It clarifies eligibility for a teacher's license and makes the federal law clear in state statute, and I'd urge support.
Representative Kipp.
So we have in our state a shortage of teachers, and we want to ensure that we are be able to grant teacher's licenses to every possible teacher who qualifies for one. So we really urge you to support this bill, because not only will it, we believe that this will also increase the diversity of our education workforce, because we can make sure that those people who might not be sure that they can apply for a teacher's license can hopefully apply for a teacher's license. And it's really important for kids to have good role models in their classroom.
Representative Carver.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I voted against this bill for two reasons. First, we have existing federal and state law for those coming to the United States who have a teacher's license from another country, and under what circumstances they can apply to teach in Colorado schools. So this is established law. There was no evidence provided in the committee testimony that there was any problems associated with foreign teachers teaching in Colorado schools and having their teachers' licenses from other countries. There was no evidence, no testimony on any problem with our existing law and practice. The other thing that was a bit problematic about the bill language was that it directed the Colorado agency on that issues the teachers' licenses. It has mandatory language, which I have never seen in any occupational licensing scheme. Mandatory language that says if an applicant who is coming from another country with a teacher's license, if they meet the following criteria, the license shall be issued. Again, very different language that I have ever seen in occupational licensing. And so I urge a no vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative McKean.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
And with you, sir.
So we do always rehash judiciary down here, and part of the rehash on this is we start to get into a very gray space when we say that we are going to use the power, yes, Representative Matthew Gray, when we're going to use the power of the state to give someone a license to do something. Do they have the experience required? Probably, maybe. But at the same time, what we're saying is we are going to grant you a license to do something in this state. Do y'all remember when we did, when we talked about the driver's licenses for folks and how much controversy there is on that? Remember that? Part of the rationale for giving someone that permission, and especially in my district, is I have several dairies. And the dairies in that district were telling me that if that individual left the dairy and got in an accident on a county road somewhere, the person they would sue would not be the driver of that truck, it would be the dairy. And they would likely lose their dairies. And so we sat there and we said, you know what, this is sort of the least possible thing we can do. And if you remember, since we've been in this legislature, we didn't create this program. What we literally did was we made sure that people could use their Social Security numbers, if they were DACA recipients, to make sure that they could get those licenses. The program was there. We're not going to unring that
Representative
particular bell.
McKean, are we talking about the teacher licenses or are we talking about other licenses?
I'm talking about actually teacher licenses and all licenses.
Okay.
Satisfactory?
Can we stick to teacher licenses?
Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. So the challenge is that when we go about this business and we give the import of the state to someone, whether it be the program I mentioned, whether it be teacher licenses, whether it be any function of the state to say this is going to be a permitted activity, we have to be very careful as we walk down that road to make sure that we are not just saying this is a free-for-all and you can do whatever you want. Because in the end, this is the state using its power to make sure that people have the ability to do what we say they can go do. I will tell you this, when we talked about it in judiciary, we actually didn't get into some of these other programs. What we really said is, well, there's a need, and so we should fill the need. A lot of times we make bad decisions doing that. So I would urge a no vote on this bill. I think this actually requires a lot more look, a lot more understanding of exactly who it is that we would want to help. And then I think it actually requires also a look at why are we helping in this way? What is it that we want to accomplish? And what is it that would make this universally acceptable because we have action at the federal level to make sure that we can not only know who we're doing this for, but that we're on a path to a status that we can all accept.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to come up and say that I voted no on committee. I'm still going to be a no on the floor. It's just one of those issues for me that I can't quite get behind. So just wanted to come down here and say that. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1241. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1241 passes. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1061 until Monday, March 2nd.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1061 will be laid over. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1178.
House Bill 1178 by Representative Holtorf, also Senator Sonnenberg, concerning increasing the speed limit on rural state highways where it is safe to do so, and in connection therewith directing the Department of Transportation to identify these highways.
Representative Holtorf to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, esteemed colleagues. We move the bill with amendments. We're presenting an amendment we'd like to have posted at this time.
Would you like to move the amendment? Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L003 and ask that it be...
Point of order.
There is, Representatives, there is no committee report.
Ask for a brief recess, Madam Chairman.
We'll go into a recess. Do I need to get? The committee will now come back to order. Representative Holtorf, would you like to move the bill?
Madam Chairman, I would like to move House Bill 2011-78 as amended.
To the bill, Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had a really good conversation the other day. We were able to lay it over because I had raised an issue about why 70 miles an hour and not 75, that 75 would be the maximum allowable speed. And through that, we were able to meet with CDOT and meet with other stakeholders, or I should say members, and we now have this amendment, so I move Amendment L003 and ask that it be properly displayed.
You have to give it.
Amendment L003 has been moved and has been displayed and is properly before us. Please proceed. Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the conversation that I raised the other day is there's lots of places in rural Colorado where the speed limit certainly could be a lot faster than it currently is. One example would be Highway 50 between Grand Junction and Delta. It's currently 65. However, at any given time, if the State Patrol is not present, the speed of the highway is easily 75 or 80 on average. And when CDOT does this study, what they do is they look at the medium 80%. And so they're going to study the speed of that 80%. And under the introduced amended version of the bill without this amendment, CDOT could only consider going up to 70 miles an hour. They couldn't consider going up to the maximum allowable speed, which is described in 42.4.1101, which would be 75 miles an hour. But it also has the appropriate safeguards. So looking at highway quality, does the highway have shoulders? What's the foot of the foot distance of each lane? Because that also makes a very big difference. A 14-foot lane is far safer to travel at a faster speed than a 12-foot lane. And so this allows CDOT to basically consider anything going upwards. And then I also asked the question, could CDOT lower the speed? And under this amendment and looking at the title of the bill, the answer would be no. That if they're actually doing this, it would only be to look to raise the speed. And so with that, I feel very confident that this is the right approach to take, and I would ask for a yes vote.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. We have demonstrated here a very good effort to work with our departments. We've presented information. They have given us feedback. And we have taken away a number. Now it is the subjective decision of CDOT to determine that safe speed. If it is to be raised at all, if it can be raised, what is the safe speed that it can be raised to? So in this study bill, we believe this is the right approach. The amendment addresses that. It removes any numerical reference to speed and allows them to study and determine what is safe for our citizens and what is feasible as we travel down our roadways. So with that, I would also ask a aye vote on the amendment.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment Representative Gray?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say thank you to Representative Holtorf and Representative Soper for working through with the stakeholders on this amendment. I know we had to pause the debate the other day to get this done, but I appreciate doing it the right way, and I would urge an aye vote.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And I also want to thank the leadership in this House for helping guide and navigate this to allow for a very positive outcome working with our departments.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just to be clear, with this amendment, that will address the statute that allows CDOT to adjust it up and down. Right. But this amendment keeps it from adjusting down, correctly? Is that correct? So that addresses the whatever rules and regulations that CDOT has that allows them that flexibility. This will take that lowering out, correct? Okay. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L003? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L003. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Amendment L003 passes. To the bill, is there any further? Representative Holtorf, any further discussion? Representative Humphrey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank Representative Holtorf for his work on the bill, and Representative Soper and Representative Gray as well. I think this is a very good amendment to the bill, and I'm always in favor of looking at reasonable changes to speed limits. I did have a thought. I don't know who represents Wiggins, Colorado. We have a Broncos player by the name of Dalton Reisner, and I thought maybe we could recommend in this bill, just suggest, to make the speed limit 66 miles an hour through Wiggins, Colorado, because that is his number. I think that would be awesome. Just a thought. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion or gray area. Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1178. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1178 passes. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1073 until Monday, March 2nd.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1073 will be laid over. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to proceed out of order for House Bill 1081.
Seeing no objection, we'll proceed out of order. House Bill 1081. Mr. Stoka, please read the title of House Bill 1081.
House Bill 1081 by Representative Caraveo, also Senators Gonzalez, concerning the expansion of multilingual ballot access for electors in the state.
Representative Caraveo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
And an honor to serve with you.
I move the bill and the State Veterans and Military Affairs and Appropriations reports.
To the Appropriations Report.
The Appropriations Report, it really adjusted the needed appropriation because of amendments made in the other committee.
Is there any further discussion regarding the Appropriations Report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Appropriations Report. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Appropriations Report passes. To the committee report, State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee report. Representative Caraveo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Here we adjusted the date for hotline implementation. We changed the hours of operation for the hotline, eliminated the need for nonpartisan staff to decrease expenditures by the clerks, and removed redundant language.
Is there any further discussion regarding the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Committee report passes. Representative Caraveo, to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, the reason behind my work for this bill over the last year, really since I was elected, was the issues that I saw in my district during my election. There were a lot of members, a lot of voters, in the southern part of my district who are citizens who have done all the, taken all the right steps to become voters in our country, were interested in voting, but the ballot language, being as complicated as it is in Colorado, really did not permit them to understand the ballot language. And so once I started to look into this, I noted that only 4 counties in Colorado really require translation of ballots, and the only major one is Denver. And so by changing the VRA standards in this state, we will move from 4 counties to 22, really making it a representative sample of counties across the state, in order to allow 82,000 additional voters to participate in our democratic process. So with that, I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, we had a great deal of testimony on this particular bill. In fact, my county clerk came down to testify in opposition to it. I think we do see sort of the good intent of the bill sponsor in the bill, but there are real costs associated with trying to implement it, as well as risk of liability. So when my clerk came up and testified, he did talk about the burdensome nature of trying to implement this, especially given the election calendar, and he also talked about the potential liability that they would fear that they would face given their potential inability to translate the language properly from English to another language, given the sometimes complex words that you'll find in ballot language. And so if they get it wrong and a voter doesn't understand properly through the translation process, they were afraid of, again, getting sued. And so they wanted to see some changes in that realm. And there was also this notion that, if you became a citizen, you're supposed to have some sort of proficiency with English already, so they question whether or not this was necessary to begin with. And I think there's some legitimate debate concerning that. And I'll go ahead and toss it over to my colleague, Representative Rich, to kind of fill in some of the other stuff that was discussed. But at the very least, I do want to suggest that this bill needs a little bit more work, at least from my clerk's perspective, and absent that, I think we need to vote no on it. Thank you.
Representative Rich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And while I appreciate the sponsors of this bill, there are some unintended consequences to this because there's a difference between transportation and interpretation. And there's also a concern that there's no increase in state reimbursement for these additional services. We continue to pile on more and more requirements of our county clerks on these elections. And I'm going to tell you that you are setting your county clerk up for failure. And I do have a concern about translation and interpretation. And this bill probably needs a little bit more work. I'm asking for a no vote.
Representative Tipper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just wanted to address one point that Representative Williams brought up. So it's not the case that you have to have English proficiency to become a U.S. citizen. It's true that for most cases, when you apply to become a citizen and you naturalize, you do have to have English proficiency, but there is an exclusion, a category of individuals. For example, if they've been in the country for a long period of time and are over a certain age, they do not have to demonstrate English proficiency.
Is there any further discussion regarding 1081? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1081. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. House Bill 1081 passes. Mr. Soka, please read the title of House Bill 1047.
House Bill 1047 by Representative Cutter and for Casa Senators Priola, concerning the development of a statewide organics management plan to promote compost use.
Representative Froelich.
Go, Cutter. Sorry. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Cutter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move House Bill 1047, the Energy and Environment Committee report, and also the Appropriations Committee report.
To the Appropriations report, Representative Froelich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have an amendment to the Appropriations Committee report. I move L002 and ask that it be displayed.
L002 has been moved. The amendment is properly before us. Please proceed. Representative Cutter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We move that we strike the word use and substitute use on Colorado soils to advance carbon reduction through carbon storage, and in connection therewith, making an appropriation. We just tighten up the title a bit.
Is there any further discussion regarding Amendment L002? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L002 to the Appropriations Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Amendment passes. To the Appropriations report. Is there any further discussion regarding the Appropriations report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Appropriation report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, no. Appropriation report passes. To the committee report, Energy Environment Committee report. Representative Froelich.
We had a wonderful, thank you, Madam Chair. We had a wonderful discussion in Energy and Environment, and everyone is so excited about this opportunity. And so I move the Energy and Environment report, committee report.
Is there any further discussion regarding the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Committee report passes. To the bill, Representative Cutter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill was one of two bills that came out of the Zero Waste Committee, the interim committee this summer. And so we're really excited about this opportunity. It's going to task the CDPHE to conduct a study to quantify existing waste feedstocks, capacity of organic waste generating and compost facilities, really basically look at all the opportunities, and then develop a plan for implementing better compost infrastructure in Colorado, including innovative ways to create financial incentives to encourage the voluntary use of compost in agriculture. Compost has a lot of positive impacts in terms of climate change. When you put organic waste into the landfill, it releases massive quantities of methane. When you put it on agriculture or large tracts of land, it has the ability to serve as a carbon sink. And even more importantly, and something that we're excited about, is the opportunity for it to improve soil health and improve markets and pricing for farmers. So we're looking forward to this bill passing and ask for your support.
Representative Froelich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple of things about it. The dollars for this study come from the Solid Waste Management Fund, and seeing as this is dealing with solid waste management, we think that's very appropriate, so no general fund dollars. The exciting thing about moving forward with organic waste management, which is basically taking the food out of the garbage stream, natural materials out of the garbage stream and putting it into end-use product, is an opportunity for ag and the composters to talk, which they don't often do. And so those are part of the stakeholders in the study. And then ultimately, as Rep. Cutter referenced, an opportunity for actual carbon reduction, which we would like to see through carbon storage and carbon sequestration. So we ask for an aye vote.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just have one question for the bill sponsors. Can you define for me waste feedstock? What do you mean by that language?
Representative Froelich.
I believe that is manure.
Representative Holtorf.
Well, that's a $10 word for manure. Okay, well, thank you for that. I would like to offer to the bill sponsors and to the floor that agriculture has been using organic waste for decades in a responsible way to enhance our production. We're very versed in this. I understand you want a statewide organics management plan. I'm not sure how it applies to production agriculture, but I will tell you that we're already doing this. We do this to great extent. We are very good at it. And I would tell you, I don't think we need a statewide organics plan for production agriculture in my House district to apply this. Now, in the urban corridors, that may be a different story. But in rural Colorado, with respect to utilization of those things that apply fertilizer to the land to enhance growth and production of crops, I think we've got this. So if you could kind of help explain more what you're trying to accomplish here, I would appreciate it.
Representative Cutter.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Holtorf. That's really the purpose of the study is there's places that are doing great things. We want to bring those best practices to bear across the entire state. We want to encourage, there's a lot of infrastructure lacking in terms of getting composting to certain areas of the state. So we want to look at the big picture and find out ways and learn from some of the agricultural practices and find ways that we can all work together to better utilize our resources and use the organic waste constructively to benefit all of us.
Any further discussion on House Bill 1047? Representative Singh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of questions, because I didn't sit in committee through this one, but I noticed just on the first page, thank you very much, carbon storage means with respect to agricultural sector, the capacity of agricultural lands and forests to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through photosynthesis, whereby the carbon dioxide is absorbed by and stored in carbon in biomass within tree trunks, branches, foliage, roots, and soils. I just want to make sure that we're acknowledging that the actual practice of farming is helping with carbon storage.
Representative Froelich.
Thank you, Representative Singh. Thank you, Madam Chair. Exactly, yes. So that is the beauty of the carbon cycle. And so this is an opportunity for folks in urban environments, perhaps, to segregate their organic waste, and the opportunity for to explore an end use for that organic waste. Maybe it's nearby in a landscaping project, and maybe it's nearby in an agricultural project.
Representative
I should
Singh.
just also mention that Ag was at the table during the stakeholding. Ag will be at the table during the study, and the whole purpose is to seek a synergy between those communities.
Representative Singh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm pleased to hear that it's acknowledged that farmers are the first environmentalists and stewards of the land. So I'm very grateful for that. There should probably be some acknowledgement that it's one of the most technical industries as well, in opposition to what Mr. Bloomberg said about planting the seed and not a lot of gray matter. And I think that might go a long way to helping this bill move along.
Any further discussion? Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you, bill sponsors. Not to get political, I don't want to get political here, but what I do want to say is, as we talk about the carbon cycle, let us be very careful, because net zero in Colorado can be very harmful if every other state surrounding us and every other state in the union is not net zero. Point one. Point two, in North America, if every country in North America is not net zero, then the United States of America is a net loser as we try to do this. Furthermore, in the Western Hemisphere, if every country does not sign up for considering the carbon cycle, and I heard carbon sequestration, I heard a lot of these carbon cycle terms that are very popular, but I believe also very myopic. Because what happens is we start creating winners and losers in the world. If considering the entire world, if the entire world is not and does not sign up for net zero carbon cycle management, then there are grave losers. The ones that participate and try to do this will find a subordinate economic situation to those who refute it, or maybe give it lip service. And in the one world, one globe environment that we live in, we have to make sure that we do not create conditions, even in the state of Colorado, that may lead to more economic disparity, but more importantly, in rural Colorado, and I am a champion of agriculture, I am a champion of people, and I am a champion of rural Colorado in House District 64. Make no mistake about it, we cannot walk down this road because we already have enough hardship. So I'm all for a study, but I don't want this study to be done in the detriment of my agricultural community or in a detriment to the rural parts of this state that already, if the outcome of this study becomes detrimental to my constituents in rural Colorado and the rest of rural Colorado, then I do not want to continue to move down this road to cause more harm or hardship for the good people that live out in the hinterlands. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so as we talk about 1047, I was in committee and actually heard this and had the opportunity to vote on this bill. The title includes concerning the development of a statewide organics management plan to promote compost use. I'm not opposed to composting. I compost at my house. But the main concern that I had, if we look at page 5, specifically line 10, it says how to increase the end market demand and utilization of compost. And so the concern that I had was you know, we heard from testimony, or through testimony, from a couple of commercial composting businesses that they're struggling, that they're able to bring the product in to sort it and to do all these types of things with it, but when it comes time to market it, they're having a hard time to market it. And so the idea of this bill, what they seem to latch onto, was that the government would help them market their product. I don't know that that's necessarily the proper role for us, to come in and help an industry necessarily market their product. Certainly I can get behind compost. I think it's something that we should be using. But I think that's up to the individual, and I think that's to be left at the market, not necessarily for government to come in and help figure out a way that, and participate necessarily in a study or any other type of effort that would promote the increasing the end product and how it is further distributed across the state through private transactions. So, members, I'm opposed to 1047. I think the market can take care of itself. If we're truly interested in buying and utilizing compost, I think that the market can figure this out. And if the demand isn't there, well, then the demand isn't there. And so, you know, maybe in time it will be, but as it is, I'm opposed to 1047 and would appreciate a no vote.
Any further discussion? Representative Buentello.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to clarify a point real quick. Every single member in this chamber was elected by the people of Colorado. That's frankly why we're here, to debate the issues. And it's totally fine to debate the issues. It's fine to have a discussion about House Bill 1047. But I just want to make something clear. Representative Lisa Cutter is also a champion for rural Colorado. She was elected by her people. That's why she's here today, folks. And, you know, frankly, I don't often agree, but, you know, with some of the other members on the other side, but we all agree that composting is important and that we got to stop putting junk in the ocean and in our water and in the land. So let's not lose sight of the bill we're actually talking about. And let's not lose sight of the fact that we were all elected by Colorado people. And frankly, Representative Lisa Cutter is a champion for her district. And I trust her with this bill. Urge an aye vote.
Representative Pelton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I served on this interim committee. We went to a restaurant in Boulder that was doing this kind of thing, and I'm not against that. You know, if we can do that, keep it out of our landfills, great. I don't think it'll ever get to the scale it needs to be for ag, and this isn't a one-size-fits-all state where this is study. I hope it will find that out, but to ever get to the scale to really make an impact on production agriculture, we might as well not even take that food out to the table. We might as well throw it in the recycling right then, because it's going to take a lot. So with that, thank you.
Representative Froelich. Cutter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill, first of all, I want to say that I really care deeply about the agriculture community. I started my career in agriculture, and I deeply respect farmers and people that make their living that way. This bill is just about creating better cooperation and collaborations to use our existing resources and to create jobs. There's economic opportunity here for Colorado. And with that, I ask for your aye vote.
Representative Froelich.
Yes, and just to wrap up, thank you very much for the debate, and to reaffirm, although Representative Cutter and I are both 5'4", we are not billionaires. We're not seeking to denigrate agriculture in any way. In fact, we hope that this will be a positive for all of Colorado and certainly will be for our climate. So we ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion on House Bill 1047? Seeing none, the question that before us is the passage of House Bill 1047. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1047 passes. Mr. Stoker, please read the title to House Bill 1088.
House Bill 1088 by Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez concerning certification of victim helpfulness.
Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you. Oh,
It is a true honor to serve with you, Representative.
Madam Chair, I move House Bill 1088 and the Judiciary Committee report.
And before we do that, members, please quiet down a little. It's getting a little loud up here. Thank you. Representative, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Regarding the committee report in Judiciary, there was a lot of stakeholding done for this bill. This bill is regarding victims of crimes, and their access to certifications in order to even apply for a U visa. And the two things that should be considered are essentially, was the victim helpful, and was it a qualifying crime? So there was quite a bit of amendments made during the committee report to address issues that we heard from the district attorney's office. So we increased the time frame, and we also made sure that the language was aligning with federal regulations.
Any discussion on the report? Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move Amendment L010 and ask that it be properly displayed.
All right. The amendment is properly before us. Please proceed.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. So in committee, I voted no against the bill. And during my closing remarks in committee, what I said was I could not vote for the bill unless it was amended to specifically strike the Colorado Civil Rights Commission, as unlike the EEOC in federal law, which has investigatory authority into a criminal act, the Colorado Civil Rights Commission does not have investigatory authority into a criminal act, and therefore would be out with compliance for any sort of U visa element. And I just wanted to come up here and thank the sponsor, Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez, for listening to those concerns and for working with me on this amendment so that we do not have the Colorado Civil Rights Commission involved at all as a granting authority for these types of visas.
Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Soper, for willing to work with me as well. Members, this is a friendly amendment, and I ask for your aye vote.
Any further discussion on Amendment L010? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L010. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment passes. Back to the report, the committee report. All right. Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The judiciary report passes. To the bill, Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, members, this bill, again, is for victims. We heard testimony from victims of domestic violence who feared, going to the police for fear of deportation. And this bill is simply looking at implementing a time frame in which certifications for U visas, so not the actual U visa itself, that it must be signed or declined by a certifying agency. There are only two things that can be considered: victimization and helpfulness. The certification allows for a victim to apply for a U visa. It does not guarantee a U visa. It just allows them to apply. I ask for an aye vote.
Any further discussion? Representative Carver.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And First, let me say to the bill sponsor how hard she has worked with stakeholders and others on this bill. That is much appreciated, and especially acceptance of the last amendment to line up with federal guidelines as far as who can be a certifying official. Unfortunately, there remains an aspect of the bill that I find problematic. The bill language, quite frankly, has a circular logic. It defines in statutory language what the requirements are for helpfulness to get a U visa, and later in the bill it specifies that the certifying official is limited to the factors in subsection 1 in determining helpfulness. And yet it simply refers back to the statutory criteria. Now this is different than the introduced version, which had a fairly extensive list of what could not be considered. And that language was deleted. However, quite frankly, just looking at it from a legal perspective, the language that remains in the bill saying you're limited to certain factors, except there are no factors. It's just the statutory language. There are no factors, which kind of then begs the question, and to my way of thinking, opens up certifying officials, law enforcement and other agencies, on exactly what they can and cannot consider. And so for that reason, I urge a no vote.
Any further discussion on how, Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, the issue that we're trying to fix with this bill is the inconsistency that victims across the state face depending on what jurisdiction they make their request. The victims deserve to feel safe and not experience unnecessary trauma. I ask for your support.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is adoption of House Bill 1088. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1088 passes. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
You have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Stoka, please read the report.
Madam Speaker Pro Tem, your Committee of the Whole begs leave to report it has under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, and makes the following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1039, House Bill 1047 as amended, House Bill 1081 as amended, House Bill 1088 as amended, House Bill 1127, House Bill 1137 as amended, House Bill 1178 as amended, House Bill 1241 as amended, House Bill 1280 passed on second reading and ordered, engrossed, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1061, House Bill 1073, Senate Bill 17 laid over until March 2nd and retaining place on the calendar.
Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez. You have heard the motion. There are no amendments on the desk. The question before us is the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Stoka, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Mr. Stoka, please close the machine. Oh, yeah. With 42 ayes, 22 noes, and 1 excuse, the report is adopted. Now we will continue with the calendar. Are there any announcements or introductions?
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move to lay over the balance of the you can do it. Yeah, I'm just going to lay over the balance of the I move to lay over the balance of the calendar till Friday, February 28th.
The calendar will be laid over until Friday, 22nd. Is that the right date? 28th. Boy, I'm behind. Representative McKean.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I have talked to leadership, and I have I have to go away on Monday, March the 2nd. I'll be back on the 3rd, right? Savannah, Georgia. Whew, that's a long one. Anyway, March the 2nd, I will not be here. Thank you very much.
Representative Singer.
Good morning. This is the first time we've actually gotten off the floor on the same day that we started. This is good. So Colorado Children's Caucus is meeting at noon. Have some free lunch and welcome a conversation with Attention Homes about our homeless youth and what we can be doing for them. So we'll see you in House Committee Room basement at noon with the illustrious Chris Nelson from Attention Homes. And we will change the lives of our youth in crisis one meeting at a time.
Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. Energy and Environment Committee, we have 2 bills up. House Bill 1191, which is also available for remote testimony if anybody in the public is listening, and House Bill 1225.
Representative Duran.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Temp. I want to announce that tomorrow is Dentist Capital Day. So they will be in the basement rotunda area on Friday morning, February 28th. And you can have breakfast from 7:45 to 9. And all legislators are encouraged to go by and say hello to your favorite dentist. And just a few little talking points as to what they've done so far. So they've supported Colorado's CHIP Plus dental benefit for children and the recent expansion to include pregnant women. We added Medicaid total coverage for adults in Colorado after 1 year. More than $10 million was saved in emergency dental visits. Increased in the annual cap on services for Medicaid adults from $1,000 to $1,500. And it also helped expand funding for the dental care program for low-income seniors, which provides care to at-need seniors who have some of the state's most complex medical and dental needs. So please join us for breakfast tomorrow morning, 7:45 in the basement. Thank you.
Representative Harrod.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. Finance will be meeting as soon as we adjourn, so get down there quickly. We have a lot of bills to hear before 1:30. We will hear 1204, 1194, 1143, 1183, 1216, and 1189.
Representative Escar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. Members, please take a look at the calendar. Appropriations is meeting at 8 a.m. tomorrow. If you have a bill on this list, one of the sponsors needs to be there or the bill will be laid over. Pay attention to your calendar. I'm not going to read the numbers. Take a look. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any additional announcements or introductions? If not, we do have to, we have business to be read across the desk. Committees of reference.
Committee on Business Affairs and Labor, after consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following: House Bill 1141 be postponed indefinitely. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following: House Bill 1202 be referred to the committee whole with favorable recommendation. After considering the merits, the committee recommends the following: House Bill 1214 be referred to the committee of the whole with favorable recommendation. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following: House Bill 1227 be postponed indefinitely. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following: House Bill 1263 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. Committee on Health and Insurance, after consideration on the following, the committee recommends the following: House Bill 1199 be postponed indefinitely. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following: House Bill 1218 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee on Finance with favorable recommendation. House Bill 1219 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee on Finance with favorable recommendation. House Bill 1239 be postponed indefinitely. Committee on Transportation and Local Government, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following: House Bill 1233 be postponed indefinitely.
Conference committee reports. Message from the Senate.
Madam Speaker, the Senate has passed on third reading and transmits to the riser of status Senate Bill 2119.
Message from the governor.
Honorable members of the Colorado House of Representatives, pursuant to the authority vested in the office of the governor of the state of Colorado, I have the honor to inform
Will
you
be printed in the journal. That's it. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move the House stand in recess until later today.
The House is in recess until later today.